All right, kia ora everyone, and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn session. I'm Dr. Olga Lozawa, the lead of Women in Project Management and the Auckland branch lead at PMI New Zealand, and I'm delighted to be your host for today's session. Thank you so much for joining us. Whether you are tuning in from your desk, home office, or somewhere in between, we are really glad to have you with us. Before we dive in, just a couple of quick housekeeping notes. The session is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be shared with you afterwards. Please stay on mute during the session to minimize background noise. Feel free to pop up your questions into the chat as we go. We will make time to answer your questions. Now, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Zina Khan. Zina is a Wellington based speaker, coach, and adaptability expert with strong roots in South Auckland and a vibrant multicultural background Chinese, Fijian, and Indian. Over the years, she built an impressive leadership career across the finance, manufacturing, and education sectors, particularly in tech focused transformation roles. She began her career, her journey in customer service, and has grown into a powerful voice in organizational development and culture, known for bridging the gap between big picture strategy and real world delivery. So we are very lucky to have her with us today and share her insights on adaptability, confident leadership, and navigating change with purpose. Please join me in welcoming Zina. Zina, over to you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Olga, for the introduction, the invite, and it's just an absolute pleasure to be here. But I also want to say thank you and congratulations to everyone that's turned up on their lunch times. So it's nice to be able to spend lunch with you. Now, I am in windy Wellington. I'm not sure where everyone else is, but just in terms of curiosity, for my curiosity, if you wouldn't mind just adding into the chat your name, role, and where in the country are you actually at the moment. So if we can get some group participation happening there. That introduction was beautiful. Thanks again, Olga, and also the Project Management Institute New Zealand for the invite to come along and spend this time with you. Right, so I have the pleasure to be able to share my insights and my experience of a couple of things that I've done over the years. And yeah, so we'll. Hello, Ron. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for kicking that off. Really appreciate you. Anybody else there that would like to jump in? Lovely. Mel, thank you. Business Improvement Frontier, wonderful. Amy, hi, Amy. I don't know why your name looks familiar, but hey, Amy. And also we've got Ella, Little, we've got Liz there. Awesome. So just keep popping that in there because other than it's a curiosity thing for me, but other people that are on the screen for you would also love to get to know you. And I am big on networking. So let's maximize this opportunity. Right. So I have got a screen to share and I've just got to find that. And I believe it's this one
Sure.
here.
Yes, we can see your presentation. We can see
You can
your,
see that.
yes,
Okay, so I can
fantastic.
see the present. You can see that, okay, Olga?
Yes, we all can see your presentation in the presentation mode. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Zina.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we do have an hour together, but for me, it's more about the content rather than the time. So if we get a few minutes back, then that's also awesome as well. But we want to, yeah, really hoping this is a real meaningful and you'll take something out of it for yourself. This is about my experience and what I've done in the past. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Feel free to use your emojis, your emoticons that you've got on there. So if you want to send a heart, a smile, whichever one, you just go for it, just to keep yourself awake and engaged in that way. So I'll start off with power of adaptability, thriving through people-centric change. I'm Zina Khan, adaptability coach and speaker. And you can always jump on my website to check that out as well as to what that is. So today's session, I really wanted to cover adaptability as a leadership mindset. With the different sectors I've worked in and the different roles I've had within organizations, there's change and there's leadership and all sorts of topics we talk about, but I've become really, really curious in the skill of adaptability. Like, what does it take with all these moving parts with technology, transformation, leadership, change? Like, what does it actually take from an internal perspective? And for me, I've landed on adaptability coach. I'm going to talk about project versus change cycle, which, I also understand there's a lot of us in the room that have years of experience in terms of length and depth of experience and breadth, across the industry or your careers. So this is some things will sound familiar to you. Some things might be a refresh or maybe not. But I just encourage everyone to keep an open mind in what we are sharing today. A thing of propel forward with 80/20. So just my observations when it comes to people. I love people. And in terms of project change and management and leading and implementing things, it's been an interesting observation that I've made over the years when I've worked with business transformation and change projects. I have my signature D.R.I.V.E framework that I'd like to take you through based on, and also share a couple of case studies and my reflections and learnings through that as well. Now, Olga, I might need your assistance here. Because it's in presentation mode, I can't see anybody or any interactions. So I'll be relying on you with that and maybe talking to me of what's on the chats when I actually get to the activity. But
Yes,
just as a
perfectly.
quick, thank you. But just as a quick bio for me, about me, I look at my life in three areas, the three C's, which is culture, career, and also community. So as Olga mentioned, Māngere, South Auckland, based in Wellington. I've been here for 6 years. I came here with 223 kg bags, no friends, no network, family up in Auckland, and I just came down here for curiosity and create a career. And I'm glad I've done that. And Wellington's been very great for me and to me. I'm an 80s baby, so I'm about blue eyeshadow, shoulder pads. So I don't know anybody else in the group chat that might resonate with. With that. And also I had school crushes, and this might be a bit of a pop quiz or pop culture quiz. I had school crushes on Magnum PI, David Hasselhoff, New Kids on the Block, and also I Wish I Could Dance Like MC Hammer. So this is really telling off my age, and hopefully some people are in my era as well. Career-wise, business transformation and change major, having graduated with my Bachelor of Applied Management a few years ago. I'm also accredited Gallup Global Strengths Finder coach. I've worked in finance, manufacturing, utilities, education, both private and public sectors, and very strong thread of technology. Training is my vocation. It's one of my passions, and I love to be able to take people through the learning journey. When that light bulb goes off, that's where the magic is for me. Work from frontline customer service to organization development culture. Found myself in gateway positions, influencing change from the ground up, bridging communications, being that translator between frontline IT and also executive leadership teams. Yes, and community. I'm part of Toastmasters New Zealand. Very proud of that in terms of my first community here in Wellington, and also I'm part of the leadership team for Speakers Institute New Zealand, and my own coaching practice where I guide professionals to recognize their strengths, elevate their skills, and bring renewed energy to change. That was a quick one. Now, this is where I need your participation. Adaptability. You can see on the 3 dots, this is where you guys come in and start putting in your chats. When you think of adaptability, what comes to mind? Just some quick words. Anybody want to put in the team chats what adaptability might be? What comes to mind when you think of adaptability? Oh, Alice, I see you're sharing the weather with me. So, yeah. Problem solving, lovely. Resilience, awesome. And if you like the ones that have been already suggested, please do thumbs up it or give it a bit of an emoji. Coping with changes, love it. Emotional intelligence, perfect, perfect. Nice. Now I'll go back to sharing my screen. So there's a few very similar things that I've also thought of around adaptability. And adaptability is, I'll share the definition as how I've married a few things together. So adaptability for me is an essential skill that allows you to adjust to changing environments, strengthening ability to shift priorities, projects, clients, and technology. So well done, team. Thank you so much for participating in that little exercise. Now, again, acknowledge everyone that's in the room with the different levels of experience and absolute knowledge that surrounds me today. I just Googled this to see what was the 5 stages of project management or project cycle. So this is a very simple form, but I'm sure there's a lot of great methodologies out there and something I'm sort of delving into myself because I'm really looking at project management in the future. So as we know about the 5 steps: project initiation, then planning, execution, and then monitoring control, and then project closure. If there's anything else that's in there, please feel free to drop it into the chat because it could be a good learning for me if I've missed anything for you on that one. Now, I thought it was quite interesting to look at the 5 changes of the project cycle, which everyone would know too well about in the group here. And then I looked at in terms of the stages of emotion and change and how people might react. Because this is what it's about. It's about the people center approach to things, which, of course, everyone here also, when they're rolling out projects, has that front of mind, as well as systems and process. And you can just see here in terms of the line about denial, then going through that shock, resistance. There's 3 stages here: endings of something that you've known, and then going to that transition phase and that resistance that you feel, and then that ability. Well, not ability, but it's kind of the letting go. It's like you just have to let go because you get exhausted with being defensive or resistant to something that's happening. So again, it's about what's in your control, what's not in your control. Then you go into this transition phase, and hopefully, in terms of organizations, you have that support to help people with being able to deal with these emotions because they're quite big for a lot of people around anxiety, uncertainty, especially with different situations, brings about a bit of frustration and fear. So and as humans, we go through that next cycle of understanding change and with a bit more optimism and settling in. Okay, I'm going to start accepting the change, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So, change accepted, commitment locked in, and there's the enthusiasm and trust based on the project management implementation. So, I just thought that was quite interesting to see that from that systems process point of view, and then the people in terms of the emotions we go through. So, hopefully, you found that interesting as well. Feel free to add anything into the chats if you did or didn't, or what else you want to be able to add to the conversation. Now, in terms of challenges, if you can give me, if someone can just put in there, or anybody that, any challenges that you've come across that sort of reminds you of that project cycle and also emotionally across the change implementation, like what are the challenges that you've come across or you've noticed in others maybe? Just going to stop sharing the screen for the moment so I can see the web chat. Or if Olga, if you can let me know what other things are being said in there, that'd be awesome.
Yes, sure. Mel mentioned fatigue.
Yeah. Oh,
Good one.
nice. Thank you.
Resistance.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's no fatigue in the previous slide, but very well picked up there, Mel. Awesome. So is there any more in there, Olga, or are we okay to move on?
Yes, it's still coming. People don't buy into the change.
Mm.
I would say probably navigating uncertainty.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, team, for sharing that. And I don't want to gloss over those challenges that we have all faced in some, at some level or to some degree. Really appreciate you sharing that. And I'm also quite mindful of the time, having started a little bit later. So
Yeah, no
I'd love to
worries.
be
We
able
we
to,
we, we we do
yeah.
have time, and there are a couple
Oh,
of
good,
other
good.
other thoughts like unclear changes and complex, difficult problems to solve. Well done. Thank you, team.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that. Um, Sharing again. Won't be a moment. Wonderful. So this slide here for me, when I was thinking about in terms of my career and the different projects that I've been involved in, which I'll go into a bit more, it's always for me about people over process, no matter what. And I say that but I also know that sometimes it's not, doesn't always, with our best intentions as project managers or whoever we're reporting to or doing this work for, sometimes it can look like we're not considering the people, but we actually are. But I've my encouragement around this is just that whatever thing you are faced with, especially with change and whatnot, then I'm a big philosopher, my big thing is about people over process. I'm quite passionate about it. That's why sometimes I can't articulate it, because it just goes without saying for me. But also, I understand there are parameters that we can't, and there's boundaries sometimes, and there's things that we need to meet, and outcomes and deliverables and things. But it's very much just a key reminder around whatever we are, the junction that we are at, depending on our work. It's really about thinking about people over process, where we can, best we can. What I also, in my observation, actually, when I think about observation, 80/20, work with the willing. I don't know, has anybody heard work with the willing? If you have, then please drop that you have in the chat. And what I've noticed, and there is no science behind this, and I'm going to make that quite clear. There is no science behind my observation in that. But having worked with a number of teams over 20 years, leading teams, etc., and when we brought about change, and I'll go through this scenario soon, is that I noticed that 80% of people usually follow the path, depending on the group that's in front of me. And 20%, I'm expecting in my mind 20% to actually resist or take time, or they might be taking time to process information, but it could look like resistance in the beginning. But, when I think about team members, and when I was on a front line, when I started my first corporate job in a finance company, it's all about me. What's in it for me as a customer service person, because I'm there to clock in, clock out, and I'm also there to just look after my customer based on whatever service we provide, product or service. And so there is resistance to change, yes, but I also notice that sometimes some people just take time to process information, and it's our power of influence and persuasion as to how we get them across the line, which I'm sure a lot of you on the call have experienced this. 20% of the 20% are likely to resist. I have this observation that about 15% will join the journey at some stage because they get FOMO, fear of missing out. So you see the wave going through. So that's that whole working with the willing, and other people usually follow after they maybe had that time to process the information. About 15% usually join the journey because of that FOMO. 5%, again, of this 20% that I've got in my head, is most likely to resist the change and or move on. I remember I was working at a utilities company a few years ago, and I was a team leader there. And what was interesting to me is they had a restructure. And I sat at the back of the room. There was about hundreds of us in there. And we sat at the back of the room. And the CEO at the time, he was amazing. He would talked about restructure, blah, blah, blah. And then I just sat there and I felt like I was in my glass bubble. And I just thought, gosh, I actually don't want to be here. I understood what the restructure was about. I understood what was going to happen and why it's happening is obviously everything for the customer, making it more efficient and all that sort of thing around, serving our customers. But it just wasn't for me moving forward. So I looked for a job and moved on to education sector. But yes, I just realized that just reflecting back on my personal journey, if I've had to think about it, if I haven't joined the rest of everybody else, or I'm resisting change for some reason, because as much as I'm a change major, there's no I still have anxiety when it comes to change and a little bit of resistance at times. But what I found in that example, that I decided to move on for myself, and that is okay too. So opportunity, but within that, when I say that, there is still an opportunity to support that 5% that are moving forward in whichever direction, either with the core group, either on their own, or wherever else they choose to go, because they still have valuable skills. There's still some strengths. There's still that body of work that we've done in the organisation up until that point. We decided to, when we came to a crossroads to say I'm moving on, or I'm doing something different. So I just want to put it out there in regards to that whole linking into my people over process every time. Do we have any questions at the moment around this at all?
We encourage you to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try, just raise your hand and ask a question away. Turn on your microphone. We would love to hear from you. What I would add that, in my opinion, 20% of people drive 80% of progress. So, yeah,
Nice. Yes, I saw that. I love that. I'm gonna put an emoji on that one.
Does
Awesome,
anyone
team.
have anything to add? Or do you have any questions? Please ask them. If not, we can move ahead.
Cool.
Thank you, Zina.
Perfect. No, that's totally fine. Might be a moment. Appreciate Aroha, my team. Appreciate you patience with me flicking in our screens. Now, communication is the other element, other ingredient to this whole change perspective. What do you think about communications? Like, what's important? What is important about communications? Why is it important? And how have you communicated when you're doing projects or delivering something? If you drop that into the chat, you know the drill, team. So definitely put that in there. I'll stop sharing for a moment so I can see hopefully some chats. Yes, love that, Kate. Clear objectives. Thank you, Samrita. Right, people. Yep, that's right. Nice. Communicate with stakeholders. Thank you, Olga. Yeah. Don't we love a good stakeholder? That's as passionate as they are. Yeah.
Have a few comments. Attention to detail to be ensured while communicating, and keep the message clear and straightforward. Acknowledge what is changing and what is not. Include the why and what's in it for me. Absolutely love it. Thank you, Alice.
Yes, love
Empathy
that,
to
Alice.
ensure understanding. Yeah, fantastic. Managing projects is all about communication. Well done. Yeah, I agree. Can't agree more. Build cohesion, collaboration. Perfect. I like it.
Love it. Love
It's
it.
a
Love it.
very
Love it.
it's a very engaging and collaborative session.
Oh,
Thank you,
good,
guys.
good. I'm glad
Yeah,
everybody you're in here with me. It's awesome.
we
I'm going
are
to share
with
my
you.
screen again.
Yes.
Keep going with the comments because we're all in this in terms of our conversation, even though we're online. Um, Now, I actually have just come off the back of attending a 3-day conference with the UN Women Aotearoa New Zealand group that have done uh, women in leadership workshops and conference at in Auckland. And the third the third day, I went to a power of influence and communication and mastering language, which was absolutely great timing. So I added the slide yesterday because I was very inspired by Mel Rosell, who was a facilitator and coach. And she talked about on point approach when it comes to communication. So you would have started reading the screen already, team. So it's really about, as we've mentioned in the chats, around establish clear intention, understand the context, know your audience, group strengths and how they might play out. Some people will have really strong strengths and then dial that up, but not realize the blind spots, or they might dial it right down, but we need to hear from them. Deal breaker, like what are the things that, when you come across things in regards to communication, what is the deal breaker stuff, the focus areas that you really want to hone in on. Another big thing, and I've actually bolded this is intentionally around ability to frame stories or the comms. And it also, when you think about yourself internally, when you're going through change or we're part of a project, or if you're part of the project team, it's the stories we're telling ourselves about the situation. So when you come across challenges or things we may not understand, or someone's said something or gone or done something in a certain way, it's the ability to be able to frame those stories, but also there's stories that we're telling ourselves about the situation as well. So the ability to be able to just pause on that and go, okay, what does that actually mean? And is that what I'm seeing, or am I perceiving that, or what story, or what is it attached to? So that was quite an interesting challenge from Mel when, and I'm completely crediting her for her facado and knowledge on this, because it was quite, it just made me think about a few things. So that was awesome. Also aware of energy shifts, and I have actually highlighted or bolded this as well, and it's really about the energy states and shifts. And what that was about is when you're moving, when you're talking to a group of customer service people, or a large group of people, and then you talk to the middle management versus you talk to executive leadership. Sometimes, and depending on the role that you do have these energy shifts and states of energy shifts. Some areas you're more or some groups of people you're more comfortable with others, and it's really about, well, how do I get through that? So it was really about intention, establishing that clear intention, understanding context, and knowing your audience, and the big thing about what it means and how it will benefit them. And customer service people as the example I'm using for what's in it for me. So hopefully you found that PowerPoint helpful, because it's really made me, it's highlighted a few things, which is great. I love self-awareness, and I love to keep adding on to that as well. So hopefully you found that and helpful. And thank you for your putting those things in the chats, because I think it aligns very well. Now, moving on to organisation 1 and organisation 2. So this is direct case study from teams I've led. The first organisation or experience I've had with customer service manager of a main contact centre in the education sector. I helped lead a implementation of a new telephony system back then. I think it was Cisco. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've got a contact center background, so there's so many different tools and systems that we have, so it might sound quite old speaking about it now. But I was there from the RFP stage through to implementation. We got plenty of vendors sending us why they should be the person, and it was some with the thick documents, like from 10 pages to 30 pages. So that was, and we had to review 10, so that was quite a interesting process. I represented the primary business unit, the main contact center, where people would come in, or future students would come in and want to get on a program, enroll, etc. And our team were the gateway to the schools and faculties. So we were one of 3 contact centers. The other contact center was IT, and also another contact center was the facilities department as well. So they looked after all the campuses across Auckland. Funnily enough, at the time, I was the only one that held the contact center knowledge, because I had been working in contact centers by that time for almost 11 years. So from being on the phone, asking people, welcome to customer service, how can I help you, to being a team leader and manager. So I really knew the ins and outs of contact center in terms of systems, process, the whole gamut. So I don't know if anybody here has worked in a contact center or works in a contact center or that environment. So drop that in there in the chat if you'd like to share. And at the time, I was the only one that actually held that knowledge. So I was leading a lot of those pieces of understanding. So what I did, I actually went and spent time with each business unit to just gain a quick overview of the existing systems, or what they're doing, and just to get to know the people, because I knew I'd have to connect with all the business units at some stage and all their people. So I went in there to, create that rapport in the beginning, but really to understand what are their business, how their business operate, and what do they actually need. So I identified similarities, differences, and some synergies across the units, because obviously, as we all know, when we come to these things, we have to write out business requirements. Now, I have so much admiration for people that do business requirements, because I'm not great at it, but I know what needs to be put into it. So I really appreciate a good business requirement writer, because they're able to make that so succinct and clear. It's absolutely wonderful. So shout out to those that have helped me on my journey. But yes, so when I identified the similarities, differences, and synergies across the units, it was actually easier to get a bit of an idea. Okay, so what do we need to do on the small, medium, or large scale? I went as far as assessing team sizes, because then that would tell me about logistics around training, tenure, like how long has a person been there, or what is their, has someone been there for 5 years, 5 months to 15 years, because then I would sort of assess the level of adoption, and also confidence levels around, as we move forward. So I had to ascertain likelihood of adoption versus resistance to change, and I use these insights to shape communication strategies and also deliver training. Now, I say deliver training, But I realized I faced a personal limitation at that time where I actually didn't know how to facilitate or train people. I thought I did, but this was a different scale altogether. So I actually became undone with it. So we had to get some contractors to come in and help, which was perfect because it was quite a few number of people, over 100 people we had to train. But what was really interesting is that I could get myself 75% of this process from RFP right through to training and implementation. So I took the initiative to go and upskill myself. I did a lot of trainer courses, adult education principles, and also public speaking and facilitation skills because I didn't want to be in that position where I couldn't take the people across um, the whole process of actually training them in the system that we are delivering. So I just was really fascinated by it, and then I did what I needed to do. Reflected on the importance of in here about communication, emotional intelligence, and strengths, and also staying grounded amid all the project complexities. As you know, scope deliverables. You're very familiar with all those things. My second organisation was training manager in education. This time in the education sector, but also the finance sector as well. You could say implementing a contact centre telephony system. I was the gateway between customer service, IT, and ELT. Similar thing, enabling information flow, enabling collaboration, and delivering targeted training. But this time, because I had that training before, went out and got myself sorted or trained because there was intrigue for me there. I was able to basically help from top to bottom, which included training, and I felt really good doing that. So, and just to see what happens on the other side in terms of that whole taking people through the end to end. Again, what's in it for me was very, that's always top of mind. Explain what the system was, and we've mentioned this in the chat, so that's perfect in terms of, got to have clarity, communicate why it matters, and for benefit for the customer and the individual, and providing that step by step process guide, and also support pathways. So if they can't help the customer, who can help the customer. Ensured training was addressed in terms of practical application. So I always say training is a one-off event. I'm looking at how do we, as an organisation, help continue to support that as people are on the job. So that's quite important as well, because it's all about customer impact and empowerment through clarity and support. So really appreciate we're all aligned in terms of the chats. You've added those things in the chat. So that was organization 1 and 2, and also really appreciate everyone keeping up with me. And going a little bit fast here probably. So the drive framework that I've come up with, as I pondered about, well, what makes, what is the thing that helps me stay grounded or has helped me stay grounded, and I came up with DRIVE. D.R.I.V.E. So purpose is designed with adaptability at the core, serving as a decision-making tool and also a reflective tool. This can be used through change process end to end, including also post projects, is what I found. And the aim is to enable teams to communicate with clarity, adapt with purpose, and also move with confidence. And the three key pillars, if you like, is decide, connect, and reflect. So that is DRIVE in itself. Now and it's really based around the human element. So we've got the framework, the definition, and also the guide is how I guess I live my life in this way actually. So D is for determined, subject to the situation. It's like, how determined do we need to be in that moment as we assess risk or the impact level of any actions or approaches we take. When you think about it, sometimes there's things that come up. You're thinking, is that such a big deal? Or what would the impact really be? And am I being human in this? And how determined do I really have to be? So, what it translates to for me is pick your battles, bracing for any impact and mitigate. Near impossible to eliminate, but some things are a little bit near impossible to eliminate. That mitigating that risk, but it's that encouraging of that human element of it. And I use this in my personal life too. Like, how determined do I really need to be right now, based on the situation? Redirection for R for redirection. So redirection over rejection. I just don't believe in rejection. That's just my personal philosophy. So whatever feedback or reactions you experience from yourself, and so from others as well, think of it as a redirection as to where you're meant to go in that project. So hopefully that's self-explanatory. And when I talk about a guide, it's very much about don't sweat the small stuff, or or you do sweat the small stuff, but not all the time, right? So there's no, again, being human, we are going to worry, we are going to sweat the small stuff, but it's just how often and we do it and how long we sit in it. I is insight, foresight. You know, you know what you know from your experiences before. You know, you have the confidence in that. That's my encouragement. You can always regroup, pivot, and also learn more from it moving forward. And how I look at things, I have this, I personally, and I'm going to share with you, is I like to get things right all the time. I have this thing about just have to get it right. And I've just noticed over the years, I'm just like, just relax. And I think that's why Drive has actually come to me in this format around a framework to help me keep me anchored. So I'm a bit more forgiving in the sense of showing myself empathy, and it helps me show others empathy as well. So it's about making the best decision, knowing that you made the best decision you could at the time with the info you had at the time. So just keep moving it forward, forgive, empathy, and always seeking to understand all these elements. And when someone's done something, I'm thinking, why would they have done that? And really trying to go back into their tracing these steps, etc., and also my own vibe. Trust your intuition and external intentions. If it doesn't feel right for you, you just need to pause and go, oh, I never, don't ever not trust your judgment. So if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right. You know who are your allies with that in projects or anything, organizations you're working for. Who can you really talk to? Take a deep dive into how you're feeling, because if it's something that doesn't feel right, it doesn't. Energy and enthusiasm for E, so it's double E here. So energy, read the room by feeling the room is my encouragement. Again, it sort of probably talks more to the vibe setting. And enthusiasm, if the decision you've made doesn't fuel you or feel right, it won't move you with any certainty at all. That's from what I've experienced over time. And I mentioned about energy states and shifts, and if it doesn't feel right, probably wasn't the right decision. But it's not that you might not have a crack at it, because you probably will, but you can come back to Drive and look at this, pick different parts of the key words and say, okay, was it redirection? Was I being redirected? Was there an insight that I had and the foresight or information I brought into it? Where could I have made another decision, etc. So this element, yes, says D.R.I.V.E, goes from top to bottom, but actually, when you're in that, there's different, you can pick different words and be able to go, okay, depending on the situation. So that's what I encourage. Right, over to you, all. In terms of scenarios you've experienced, is anything resonating with elements of Drive when we're thinking about your experiences? If you want to drop that in the chat, I'm just going to stop sharing so I can look at the chat if there's anything coming through. Thanks, Alice. So yeah, when you're thinking about Drive and the different elements, is there anything that you've experienced that sounds familiar or resonates? Please do drop that in there. Love that, Samrita. Thank you. Staying proactive through prior experience, perhaps. Yeah, I think that's for that one. Give it another 30 or 10 seconds, maybe, if people are putting stuff in there or not. Thank you, Lakshmi. Reflecting on my own experience, I've found that upskilling myself has made a real difference in how I lead my team. Love that, love that, love that. Keep flying that flag. Awesome. Thanks, Olga, about applying the Drive model to my leadership to foster engagement. Yeah, very cool. Awesome. And if there's any more that come through, just let me know, Olga, as we move through.
Absolutely, will do.
Thank you. Okay. And I also know there's a lot of information there, and you've seen this framework for the first time, so they'll be like, "Oh, you'll be really looking through a memory banks as to scenarios that you've had potentially." So we're coming to the last few slides here, and it's 12:45 p.m. Reflections. So for me, people are the asset, time the currency. Being human is hard. And let's face it, we know that working with humans is even harder at times. At times, so I'm going to caveat that. Technology and the evolving world of technology, AI, the fast-paced, it's so fast-paced world, and I feel like the days are just flying by. So Drive for me is my anchor, and I'm happy to. We're going to share this PowerPoint as a PDF to you all post the session. People over process, very strong on that people over process and recognizing strengths and valuing skills, and because sometimes there's some change that comes through. It's just not, um, we all are in different areas and stages and phases of life. So we all got some sort of value in our strengths. So it's just a matter of finding the right area for us. We're all on a journey, and my encouragement is about live and lead adaptability. Came to the last slide, Q&A, and also we've got I'll drop in the chat a survey link as well, and so Olga will drop that in. Hopefully, Olga, you've got that through my email. But we'll
Yes,
move
I'll
on
do it
to.
right now. Yes.
Oh, thank you. So, to help me in the future sessions and whatnot, let us know what you found helpful, what you didn't, and it's all about continuous improvement. So I welcome any feedback. Please be honest and just go for it. But before I jump off the slide at the moment to do some Q&A, biggest quote I just want to leave with you is something that I live by now is whatever is meant for you will always arrive on time. Have a plan, be prepared, live and lead with adaptability. So that's me. I appreciate your time, team, but I'm not going anywhere yet. I'm just going to come off there, and any questions and answers. Thanks, Luo. Sorry, any questions? I should have the answers, right? And if you don't mind filling in that link that Olga has dropped in, that'd be really awesome. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions. You can come off if you want to jump on, if you want, switch your cameras off and jump on, then more than welcome. And if I don't have the answer, I'm sure someone in the group may do.
And remember that there is no stupid questions. Please ask your questions.
100%. Was there anything that in the PowerPoint presentation itself, like the drive model, that you didn't understand? We can always cover things as well. So it's totally up to you. But I'll drop my website in the chat as well. Feel free to connect with me. Happy, quite open to you coming through.
Hi, Zena, it's Alice. Just wondering,
Hey, Alice. Hi.
Where was it that you did your degree? Because it was a degree I hadn't heard of before.
Yeah, it's actually at Manukau Institute of Technology. So I did the Bachelor of Applied Management, and the major was Business Transformation and Change. And it turned into a postgrad the year after. It was the first time I'd seen it at the time, and I did that back in 2019.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you for your question, Alice.
Thank you. Thank you, Olga. So I believe people are in the core of everything we do. When we care more about individuals than numbers, we can create trust, collaboration, and impact that no process alone can deliver. Love that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. All right.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Zena, and thank you all for joining us today. And once again, apologies for a slight delay and for some issues with the technology today. And if you'd like to stay connected, be sure that you follow us on LinkedIn. Search PMI New Zealand LinkedIn page, and also we do have Women in Project Management. LinkedIn page. Follow us on Humanitics to receive the information about upcoming sessions. And also, you can check our PMI New Zealand website for updates and resources. We will share this presentation with you after this session, and also the link to the recorded session will be shared with you as well. Just a reminder, our next session is coming up next Thursday. We will be diving into a very interesting topic. I will share some information with you again with my follow-up email. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for being a part of our community, and enjoy the long weekend. And of course, Matarike. Thank you so much, Zina. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.